Welcome to the Springhill Toyota High School Showdown. We're here at Springhill Toyota on Government Boulevard at I-65. I'm Mike Herndon.
I'm Brad Lowell.
We're going to talk a little bit about some high school football this week. We've got coaches from Davidson and Murphy here to talk about our MCPSS TV game of the week. But first off, we're going to talk a little bit about what happened last week. And the biggest story from last week was, I'm not going to call it an upset, but it was a big, big win for Viger.
Absolutely. The Viger-St. Paul's game has, become a huge game every year in 5A Region 1. Just so happened again this year, Viger ended up getting the victory, which gave them, both St. Paul's and Viger, only one loss in the region. Both of them with one loss. Viger has a tiebreaker over St. Paul's, so they get the region championship.
And what an amazing turnaround from an 0-3 start that included their first region game they lost.
Absolutely. You're talking about a team that started off 0-3 for the first time in many years. And you got to give credit to the coaching staff, Coach Scott at Viger. You got to give credit to the players. They turned it around. And they knew they had a lot of football left, and it was a long way from being over with, and they made the most of it.
Well, while we know Viger's going to the playoffs, we still got a lot of playoff positioning that still needs to be worked out.
Right.
One team that put themselves in some pretty good shape, depending on what happens this week, is Williamson with a big win.
Yeah, Williamson's had a great year. Coach Sumter's really done a great job with Williamson. They are a 5-3 team, could easily be a 7-1 team right now. With a 3-point loss to St. Paul's and an overtime loss to Viger. By Williamson beating Centronell last week, that still gave Williamson playoff hopes. And what it leads to is tonight, whereas Centronell has to win against Jackson to get in, and if Centronell doesn't win, Williamson's going to get that spot.
Williamson will get in. Looking towards 7A, obviously a big game with playoff implications tonight. Davidson's put itself in pretty nice position. With a win, they would get the third slot. After that loss to Fairhope 2 weeks ago, they came back, and it was a non-region game, but still got back on the winning track with a nice win over Jackson.
Yeah, and credit Coach Riley and the Davidson staff they started off 0-2, and then they turned it on with only one loss to Fairhope a couple weeks ago. But they put themselves in a position for the region to where if they win one of the next two games, they're going to end up getting to probably the 3 seed in the playoffs, because they have the tiebreakers over the other teams that are either evenly lost the same number of region games or a little bit more. 7A still has a lot of playing out to do. Theodore, Foley, they all have opportunities. Murphy, of course, which is playing Davidson tonight. Murphy's got to win to stay in. So a lot can really transpire still, especially for really 2 more slots, within that 7A region.
Well, we're going to talk to Coach Riley from Davidson and Coach Barnes from Murphy, talk a little bit more about those playoff implications and what's going to be the key to win tonight's game of the week. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Springhill Toyota High School Showdown. We're here with Murphy High football coach Muskingum Barnes. Coach, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit, first off, I know this game with Davidson tonight is a must-win, obviously, for playoff hopes. Where do you stand with that? What's the situation look like in 7A Region 1?
Well, I mean, 7A region, I mean, honestly, for us, I mean, we just have to win. I mean, we're going to play an outstanding team in Davidson. We just got to go out there and play hard as we can and hopefully get a win. It's for us, it comes down to, I think it's going to probably come down to a tiebreaker between us, I think Foley and Theodore. But again, I mean, we just got to go out there and take care of our business. So,
well, obviously, Maurice Robinson's been a big key for you all year long. Last week against Fairhope, you lost the game, but he really put up some nice numbers, helped bring you back there at the end and make a game out of it. Tell me a little bit about what he brings to the offense and how you're able to attack a defense through him.
Well, I mean, Maurice is a dynamic player. Anytime you have a kid that's agile as he is, they can run, catch, and throw. I mean, you try to put the ball in his hands as much as possible. Normally in high school, you always try to put the ball in the best athlete can, and Maurice is that for us. So, again, we just try to go out there, try to tell them not to make too many. Go out there and play your game. Don't think that you got to do everything on your own. You got a 10 other guys that's out there that's going to help you. So, and I think he's done that this year. He's done that a lot for us in games. He hasn't tried to go out there and just try to be Superman, so to speak. So, for him to just go out there and play your game.
Coach, you have some representatives here from Murphy with the cheerleaders, and who you have sitting beside you?
I have Anton Noble. He's our wide receiver / tight end.
Welcome, Anton.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We talked a little bit about Maurice. How has this offense kind of come together and evolved over the season?
I think we started out with a basic plan, and then through the season we've learned what our strengths and weaknesses are, and we've built around what we have.
Looking at this game tonight with Davidson, what do you see? They've got a defense that's really been tough to score on this year. What do you see, and how do you think you can attack that defense?
They play man-to-man with cover 2 behind them, so I think we beat the box. They don't have. We run off the defensive backs. We have lots of weapons on the outside. We beat them man-on-man. We can have a night.
Coach Barnes, this is your first year as a head football coach. I mean, you've been around football all your life. What are some expectations or things that you coming into it that you thought, and now by week 8 or week 9, how has that kind of transpired throughout the year?
Well, I mean, the first thing, our first meeting in the spring, the only thing I ask the kids to do is play hard. Everything else take care of itself. You can't. If we can control what we can control, penalties, turnovers, those are things that we can control, and your effort. And if we do that, which we, for the most part, we have. We played pretty hard in most of the games. I didn't feel like we played as hard as we could against Fairhope, and that's my fault. I didn't have them prepared. But, we go out there and play, as hard as we can. I mean, things are going to happen. We didn't win as many games as we thought we would this year. I'm not going to lie about that. But we played hard. Each game, and as I was told the kids, every week after week, after a game, I talk to them about, if the team has more, if your opponent has more turnovers than you do, of course, your chances of you winning the game goes down, or actually goes up. And those games that we lost, we had more turnovers than they did. So again, if we can minimize what we're doing, then we'll be okay. And again, it goes back to the effort. I just preach and just continues to preach to them is go out there and play the game hard and have fun doing it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Springhill Toyota High School Showdown. We're back here with Murphy High head coach Muskingum Barnes. And coach, we have a new player joining us. You want to introduce him?
Kendall Adams-Young. He's one of our defensive linemen.
Welcome, Kendall.
Thanks for having me.
Playing Davidson tonight, this is an offense that likes to run the football. Is that the type of game as a defensive lineman you look forward to?
Yes, sir. I love when they run the ball because I'm physical and then they physical too, so it's going to be a really good matchup.
How do you feel about how your defense has come together over the course of the season?
I mean, we had some trials and tribulations with adversity, but I mean, we just got to overcome it. I mean, we just got to go out there and play hard, like Coach said.
Kendall, do you, do you view Davidson as a rivalry game? I mean, it's a region game, which is all region games, and all games are important, but is this kind of a rivalry with Murphy?
Yes, sir. I do believe that. I mean, they're going to give us their best, so I mean, we're going to have to give us our best.
Coach, you had a lot of experience as a player yourself and played for a fairly famous head coach at LSU. Tell us a little bit about how Coach Nick Saban has. Did you take anything from him that kind of as a head coach that you use now?
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that is funny that you say that because I hated practice, and he always used to say practice harder than you play, and actually we try to do that. That's one of the things that I try to bring to the table is you have to practice hard. The Saturdays are fun for us. Friday nights are fun, but the Mondays through Thursdays are not. A lot of sprints. A lot of little things that we got to clean up. But you got to practice hard, and that's the one thing I think that's why Alabama's so successful is they practice hard, and that's why they've been #1 for a long time. That's the one thing he brought to the table when I was at LSU was we're gonna practice hard, and I will say those weren't fun times, but again when you win a few games, it becomes fun, and that's one thing I can take from it.
Kendall, tough practices?
Yes, sir.
Looking toward this game tonight with Davidson, last week you faced an offense that threw the ball a lot. Going to get a lot of the run game tonight. What do you think about Davidson's offense and defending Kobe Blunt?
I think Kobe is actually Mr. Blunt. I'm gonna call him Mr. Blunt. He's actually the best back we've seen so far, and he runs hard. Not a big back, but he's a shifty back. And he finds little creases in the hole. I mean, in the line, and he exploits them. Watching game, I think he's rushed for 200 yards a couple times this year. So by far for us, that's the best back we've seen. So we got to contain him. We got to make sure that he can't get outside, or they run into those zone that we tackle him and we put our hands on. We got to make sure we bring him down to the ground. But the offensively, I mean, they got a big offensive line. Receivers on the outside they can go get it, and the quarterback they can throw it. And football is one of those games that you tackle. On defense you got to tackle. And if you can't tackle, you're not going to be that good. And that's a real simple, for that's our philosophy. We have to tackle, we have to run to the ball and get 11 guys to the ball. If we can do that, then hopefully we'll be okay.
Coach, you right there discussed and talked a little bit about Davidson's offense. One thing that's been kind of consistent for them this year, though, has been their defense. How do you go about planning and prepping, a quality defensive team that is going to come out and probably play well, throughout the course of the game? Well,
and again, we talk about the offensive game and then running back and Mr. Blunt. Their defense is actually really salty, and salty being a word that is really good. Their front seven is, I think, the best front seven we've seen so far. We have to neutralize them. We have to control them, try to slow them down at some point, because that front, I'm a defensive line coach by trade.
Right.
And I like to watch the D-line get after it. And when they can send three and they can and play man behind it, that poses problems for a lot of people. For us is we got to go out there and play our game. Have an assignment ball. Our offensive lineman's got to block them. Our running backs has got to hit creases, and Maurice has got to be able to throw the ball, to our receivers. So again, it's not a complicated plan. But again, when you face a defense like that, those guys like to run, and that's the kind of defense I actually like. I mean, I was not a big guy, and those guys are really not that big, but they love to run, and they continue to run. They get 11 guys to the ball, and again, offensively, we just got to play our game.
When you have a game like this, rivalry game, must win for the playoffs, do you even need to say anything to the players? Do they know what's at stake?
Our kids do. Most of our kids have played with Davidson kids. I mean, growing up playing park ball, playing middle school ball, so they know each other. And I'm pretty sure, you know, maybe a little trash talking going back and forth. And, you know, it's all, and that's for all fun and games. I mean, because it's Mobile. But this is a rivalry game for us. So, and again, like you said, it's a must win for us. So, again, we just got to go out there and play Murphy ball.
That's Murphy head coach Muskingum Barnes. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Springhill Toyota High School Showdown. That was some music from a pet band from Davidson High School's marching band. And we're here with Davidson High School head coach Fred Riley. Coach Riley, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell us a little bit about how the season's come together. Obviously, 0-2 start, but pretty much gangbusters after that.
Yeah, it's been a good, solid season. I'm really proud of this group of kids. I mean, I had no idea how many games we would win. Had really no preconceived ideas about how this season would go. I think we've lost to the people we probably should have lost to. We've beaten the couple that we should have beaten, and I think we've won the 3 50-50 games, and which is why we are where we are. Now we have another 50-50 game tonight, and we'll see how that goes.
A lot of the reason for winning those 50-50 games is that defense.
Right.
I know you had some good players coming back, and that was the one side of the ball where you felt like you did have some experience coming back. But has this unit exceeded even your expectations?
They have. I mean, defense and kicking was where we were going to build this team this year, and we knew that, and sort of figure out what we were going to be offensively as we went along, what we could actually do under pressure offensively. And but yeah, I mean I think we're number one in the state in scoring defense in 7A right now. I think some of that has to do with, but again, it is team defense. The fact that in the games that we've been successful, we've played great field position, we've punted the ball well, we've kicked the ball well, we have not turned the ball over in those games, and gotten the game to the fourth quarter and hadn't blinked. And and sometimes it's just a matter of who blinks in the fourth quarter. And we blinked we blinked the first 2 games, and we blinked at Fairhope a little bit. But the rest of the time, we've won the games in the fourth quarter through that formula, and hope to continue to do so.
Fairhope was the first loss you'd had in quite a while. Mm-hmm. How was it getting them back on track for last week at Jackson?
We were fine. I mean, it was good for us to go on a trip. And even though we were cheese wagoning, we were still a trip, and to go play somewhere that we hadn't played and get in a little different kind of environment and work through that. I mean, our kids have been great. I mean, they're tremendously competitive. They enjoy playing together. It's a fun football team to coach. It really and they understand to just go to each day and go get better today. That's the only thing you can control is how better we get today, and they've managed to do that all year long. And we were disappointed, but I told them they could have till we got to the interstate to be disappointed, and then we got to move on. And there's nothing we can do about it anymore. And they handled it well.
Well, Coach, we were briefly speaking with Coach Barnes at Murphy, and you always want to take 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time, but you still have to talk about those scenarios with 2 games to go. Mm-hmm. You guys have put yourselves in a good position with Murphy and Bryant left, correct?
Right, that's correct.
As far as 7A Region 1, what is your outtake on as far as your place right now?
Right, I mean, again, just all we can take care of, as you're saying, is us. I mean, we win, we're third. I mean, and then we'll travel to Auburn in the first round. We don't win, We got to win the next week to be third. I mean, and travel to Auburn. I mean, we've got to win a football game as far as that element of it's concerned, because we have tiebreaker edge on everybody beneath us, and because we've already played all those other folks. So, and again, fourth place in our region could be a mess. Right. And Murphy beats us, and then the Theodore Foley game plays out where Theodore beats Foley, then all of them beat one another, and I don't know where that lands. Sure. I mean, it could be a little crazy there, but none of that has anything to do with us. I mean, we win a game, we'll finish third, and because we're sitting there with 2 losses right now, and everybody else in the region has 3 or 4, and we have tiebreaker on all of them, obviously except Murphy and Alma Bryant. So that's where we are with that.
Tell us a little about the player you brought with you today.
Tyrese Douglas. Tyrese Douglas is what we refer to as a dime, an outside linebacker, hybrid kind of guy. Is our leading tackler. Also is tied on the team for interceptions, leading in interceptions. He's a 3.2 student with a 24 ACT, and going to be anesthesiologist or something like that. We talked about it on the way over here. One of them words I can't pronounce, but and certainly can't spell. But that's what he's looking at doing, and a tremendously competitive individual. I mean, he's one of the strongest competitors I've ever been around in terms of everything. Every hill's a hill to die on with Tyrese. He'll fight you over anything. I mean, whose spot is in the lunch line, whatever it is. I mean, to the point he'll argue, he'll fight. I mean, he is just that kind of kid because he loves to win, and sort of like having those kind of guys on your team.
Well, I won't challenge you to a thumb war then. Tyrese, tell me a little bit about this defense and how it's come together. And obviously, the very first game of the year, you got into a defensive battle with Daphne, and that kind of set the tone for the whole year with this defense?
I mean, yeah, but we knew going in that we had to do a lot for our team. We had to control the ball, control field positions on teams. So we just knew that we had to play every game, every down. Like, we have to do it. We just have to get a 3 and out every time because we knew we had to get our offense in a good position. So through every game, we just play lights out. That's all we can play.
Now you got a little offense, particularly running the ball. Has that made life a little bit easier for you?
Yes, sir. It has, because we get a little breather on the sideline. We get back out. We can do the thing, get on the ball back again. So it's kind of good with them moving the ball and stuff.
When we scored a touchdown at Foley, the happiest people on the team were the defensive people. I mean, we have scored a touchdown. I mean, they jumped up and down more than anybody. I mean, so they knew we had a chance if we could just muster a little something up there.
And now the offense looks like it's moving pretty good. Another 200-yard game out of Colby Blunt. Tell me a little bit about how this run game's come together, and has it progressed as the season's gone on?
Well, I told the players today, just as a humbling experience, I went back and made myself watch the Daphne game today and sit and watch it and just see how bad we were. I mean, 28 plays for 25 yards. We didn't block anybody. We didn't throw it. We didn't catch it. We did absolutely nothing that you have to do to be a successful football team. But the positive side of it, I went back and then flipped and looked at us now and realized what a great job our offensive staff has done with these kids, and how we found something that we could do. And so, we're going to get better and better and better at these things that we can do, and then find a way to complement it with a little throw in here and there, and whatever it is, formationing, however we're going to complement it. But the thing we found was that we could run the football, and we found that we had a running back that has a little vision and extreme toughness, and once we started piecing those things together, and that our quarterback, if he just manages the game for us, which Timmy's done most every game, that we had a chance, because we could play into their hands and play into the defense's hands and our kicking game's hands, and again let the game play out. I mean, you can't go into halftime upset because it's 7-0, or 14-7. It's going to be those kind of games. They're going to be 4-quarter games. All of them have been, and this will be no different.
Speaking of this game, obviously it's a dynamic quarterback coming in. Their offense kind of goes through. What's the key to slowing him down and winning this game now?
We went through a period of time down here where everybody had a dual threat quarterback. everybody had a guy that could throw it and run off with it. And now there are really only two in our region, and we've played the Fairhope one, and he was trouble. And this one has a greater skill set than that one did. And he can throw the football, he can make you miss. They're 6'4" on the edge at receiver. They got a big old tight end that can come inside and block. Plus they create matchup problems for you. We're a man coverage team, everybody knows that, and they create matchup issues for us in our man coverage with those big bodies. And then just the fact that the quarterback can bring the ball down and run with it and make plays when there's nothing. And we haven't seen many guys like that this year. I mean, or many teams that had more than one dynamic playmaker on offense. Everybody sort of has had one. Fairhope had two. This bunch has got 3 or 4. So it's a little different in terms of defending them and being a little patient that, you know what, they're going to make some first downs. I mean, we're not just going to go out and slam these people shut and it be like it's been in some other weeks. I mean, we're going to have to live with the fact that they're going to move the football some and how we adjust and adapt to the speed of the game as it presents itself is going to be really important because they're going to put some speed on the field, really unlike that we've seen all year.
Right.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
To be inside of the advanced placement program means that you are a student whose primary goal is to go to college. And being in the advanced placement makes that so much more real for those students who are inside of it.
I feel that students shouldn't be scared to go into being an AP scholar because it's not how smart you are and it's not like your GPA, it's how much work you put into your classes and how much you are dedicated to your classes.
Welcome back to the Springhill Toyota High School Showdown. We've talked a little bit with Davidson head coach Fred Riley and Murphy head coach Muskingum Barnes. Game tonight with a lot of playoff implications. Got several games around the area with playoff implications tonight.
Yeah, I think your 5A Region 1, Central, they have an opportunity to, if they win, they're in, and if they lose, they're out. Central and Jackson play. I think the way it's going to shape out with the 5A region is Jackson's going to be in regardless. Central has to win versus Jackson tonight to get in, and if Central loses, Williamson, I think, is going to get the 4 seed.
So Williamson Lions will be keeping their ears on what's going on up there.
And that, of course, that means assuming Williamson wins out too.
Right.
And with the 6A and the 7A region, you still have a lot of football left in 2 weeks to figure out just how it's going to play out. With the 6A Region 1, pretty much Spanish Fort's a lock in that region. Daphne, I think, is pretty much a lock in that region. And the rest of it,
Blunt's got an important game tonight.
It's pretty
too.
open. Blunt has an important game. They need to win versus Gulf Shores tonight to keep their hopes alive because it's going to come down to tiebreakers. And even LaFleur has a mathematical chance, depending on who wins or loses these next couple weeks in 6A. And
they have to beat Baldwin County tonight to keep that.
Oh, they have to win
alive.
out. That's right. They have to win out also. And in 7A, as we mentioned, the Murphy-Davidson's going to be a critical game. Theodore has a couple critical games coming up that they need to win. And again, you're looking at, as far as the 7A region, McGill and Fairhope have pretty much distanced themselves as the upper tier. The rest of it is still kind of open between Davidson, Murphy, Theodore, Foley. All those guys still have opportunities and shots to probably get in the 3rd and 4th seed.
Right. Of course, Davidson, as Coach Riley mentioned, in the driver's seat to wrap up that 3rd seed if they win tonight.
That's right.
Or next week against Bryant.
Absolutely.
And Murphy, on the other hand, must win or it's
Yeah.
playoff hopes are dead.
That's right. That's
right.
a must win for them.
Well, stay tuned and we'll find out how that shakes out when Murphy plays Davidson tonight on MCPSS TV.